Hello everyone, I'm Rick and thanks for joining me. And to all my subscribers, welcome back to the channel. And if you're not a subscriber, please consider hitting that like button. We're almost at 5,000. Today we'll be looking at a couple of products from Douk Audio. We'll be focusing most of the time on their new little Tube Preamp, and we'll do an overview of one of their new linear power supplies. Now you will see the paid promo banner above because Douk Audio did send me these two units out at no charge for review. So a big thank you to Douk Audio for their continued support of the channel. If you've been a subscriber for a while, you'll know that I really love Douk Audio as a company. I really dig their approach to product development, and particularly how they receive feedback from past products. I've really liked a lot of their products, and a few not so much. And I've never held back on not so positive opinions, but always in an attempt to help make the products better in the future. And I appreciate that Douk Audio understands this and doesn't just cut me off as a reviewer. And I bring this up because the H5 is one of those pieces that really does have me on the fence. Let's first take a closer look before we talk about how I use this device. First off, the chassis is solid as any recent Douk product, and I'd say very similar to the current Fosse product. Slightly better than some of the AIMA product of lately, but that's just in the chassis. On the front from the left, we start with a 3-way toggle, and down is off. The center position is our RCA input, and the top position is our phono input. Next to that, we have a small power on LED indicator, and in my opinion, it's about 50% too bright. I would like this a little bit dimmer. And next to that, we have 3 potentiometers. The first 2 for tone, a bass followed by a treble, and these do have an indent at the center, and they give you plus or minus 6 decibels of attenuation. Now the markings do not line up perfectly with the 0. The third pot is our volume, and this one does have indents all the way across. You can feel little clicks. Up on top, we see a pair of GE 4B-Z6 tubes. And now moving to the rear. Again from the left, we see 2 sets of RCA outputs, and these are active simultaneously. They cannot be defeated to do one at a time, and are full range signals. And these really do lend for great flexibility in a little preamp like this. You can connect, let's say, any combination of active speakers, an amp and speakers, a headphone amp or 2, or a setup where you send one set of the RCAs to your mains and the other set to a left and right sub. Or you can even biamp if you'd like. Now next to these RCAs, we have a RCA sub out, and this one is low pass filtered, with a toggle switch to select either a 250 Hz roll-off or a 180 Hz. And I don't really get why they chose these frequencies though. I really would have preferred a car amplifier style pot with the little screwdriver adjustment that would give you, let's say, 250 Hz down to 30 Hz. Or the sub out could have just been fixed at 250 Hz. I think that this sub out is really meant for active subs, so your sub is going to have your crossover built in there anyways. Now moving over to our RCA inputs, first we have a line level input, and the second one is a phono in for moving magnet cartridges only. We do get a turntable ground up on top, and under that, something that I really don't like right here is a small switch labeled flat and HPF, which stands for high pass filter. And while technically this is a high pass filter, this one in particular is a subsonic filter. So flat means off and HPF is on. And this gives you a steep slope bass cutoff at 20 Hz to cut back on rumble caused by warped records, platter motor noise, or acoustic feedback. And this filter only affects the phono input, not the line input. And I just simply don't like it here. Once I have my power connected and my turntable ground here, it's kind of a pain to reach behind and kind of search for that little switch. I really do think that this could have been a second toggle on the front next to that power toggle, and it could have been labeled subsonic filter on and off, just for convenience and clarification. Now do tell me if you think I'm being nitpicky here guys, but I just want Douk Audio to make their products even better and easier to use for the novices coming into this fun world of audio gear. So on to the last thing back here is a 12 volt DC in, and you do get a 12 volt wall wart style switching power supply. I did do my initial listening with the included switching power supply, but after switching to the D2 Pro, I'm gonna say just buy this as a kit. And here's the thing, yes, the D2 Pro power supply is more expensive than the H5. The preamp itself comes in at around $90, whereas the D2 Pro linear power supply comes in at $130. What I would suggest is that you frame this as a kit costing you $220. And I'll talk about this more a little later. Now taking a closer look at the D2 Pro, on the front we have a simple on and off push button. The button does have this bright blue LED that I do wish could have been defeated and turned off. This unit weighs in at 1328 grams, so just under 3 pounds. Then on the back, over on the right, we have our IEC power inlet as well as a fuse holder, and the transformer is a fixed voltage, so you do not have a switch for 110 or 220 volts. You do have to order the correct one for your region at checkout. And I have the 110, 120 volt version here. You'll see it with the little red marking. Then we have two 12 volt DC outputs with a max combined current of 2.5 amps. And the barrel connectors needed are the DC 5525s, which are 5.5 millimeter outer diameters and 2.5 millimeter inner diameters. The D2 Pro also includes two DC 5525 interconnects. This is I think it's around 3.3 foot cable, as well as a smaller 1 foot cable. Now some 12 volt devices might use the smaller 2.1 millimeter inner diameter, so you'll need a 5525 to 5521 cable. And I'll put some links down below for some Amazon and AliExpress cables. So my experience with the D2 Pro is that it definitely cleans things up with the H5. And I don't know if it's in the tube section, but most likely I'm thinking it's in the op amps. Op amps love clean, stable power. As for the noise performance on the D2 Pro, while some cheaper switching supplies produce ripple in the millivolts, the D2 Pro claims to be under 30 microvolts without load. On the inside, we get EMI AC filtering, an encapsulated 35 watt toroidal transformer, a TI LM1085 IT doing the regulation, and multiple smaller capacitors instead of just one large cap for faster power discharge. At $130 for two 12 volt outputs, I do think it's a good choice. Now I wouldn't call this a crazy deal, but I would say it is worth the money nonetheless. So back to the H5 Tube Preamp and on to testing. I initially started with the phono side of things. Now I don't currently have another phono preamp at this price point, so I decided to compare the H5 with the built-in phono pre in my turntable. And here's what my setup consists of. My turntable is a Cambridge Audio Alva ST. It has a built-in phono preamp that can be disabled in the back. I can just switch it on and off, so I can also try different phono preamps. As for a few upgrades, I have the Douk Audio brass platter, and that's a 2mm brass platter right there. Above that, the Stack Audio Serene record mat, and I use the Serene stabilizer as well. Over on the cartridge, I have an Artiphon 2M Black. So I dropped in Billie Eilish, Happier Than Ever. And I gave a listen through the H5 with and without the subsonic filter. The tone controls zeroed out in the center, and the volume pot opened up all the way because I am controlling the volume with my own preamp. Now I've heard my colleagues refer to this phono preamp as adding warmth, and I would have to completely disagree in my system. The H5 adds bass. Usually when we say warmth, it's a slight plumpness in the lower to mid registers that add body and also reinforcements to the vocals. But in my setup, the H5 made everything darker via the phono input. The bass gets loose and the highs are rolled off. Then I listened again with the Alva's built-in phono preamp straight over to my preamp bypassing the H5. The same song played back via the turntable's own solid-state phono pre was crisper, brighter, more detailed, tighter bass, and with superior imaging. I then listened again with the H5 but this time added treble to around 2 o'clock, and I could retrieve some of that detail that was missing. It was definitely better, but still not as enjoyable as the built-in preamp in my turntable. Now of course this might not be the case with your built-in pre, this is just my observation in my system. Next I tested via the line level inputs, and here I use the Unpapa Q1 DAC because it offers 2 RCA line level outputs, where I can set one straight to my preamp and the other to the H5 and then over to my preamp. And I fed the Unpapa Q1 DAC a signal from my Cambridge Audio 851N streamer playing through Roon. And here I could quickly hear the difference of just the tubes in the H5 versus its phono stage. And I was pleasantly surprised because I had almost given up on the H5. And by the way, you do see I am using the little Unpapa shelf. This is all aluminum. The H5 as well as the D2 Pro do get pretty warm, so I really wouldn't want them on top of each other. And in this case, I am powering the H5 with the D2 Pro power supply as well as the Q1. But back to that sound, the tube flavor came through nicely, unlike through the phono stage. Playing the same Billie Eilish album, going from the DAC through the H5 Pre, revealed a larger soundstage with good layering and a tube glow around every note. Now these aren't high-end tubes by any means, so you do get a slight tube crunch, but it's a fair trade-off in my opinion. Now going DAC direct gives you a cleaner sound and tends to focus things a little bit more in the center, and gives you better imaging. However, it does compress the soundstage and that layering, and you lose that tube glow. As for detail, the detail is pretty close on both, even with the tone controls off on the H5 when going through the line level input. So for sure my preference on the H5 is the line input over that turntable input. And if I were to use the H5 again with my turntable setup to add some airiness and soundstage, I would definitely have my turntable set to phono on and go line in on the H5 here. It's just a much better experience in my particular setup. But of course, every setup is different and you just might enjoy getting the life sucked out of your music. I'm totally kidding there. But really, I do dig this H5 at its price point, and it would match great with the Douk A5 amp. I wish I had one here to show you guys, but I actually gifted mine to a friend. Again, I do wish that the subsonic filter would have been on the front in a toggle right here, because sometimes you just want to test things out on the fly when you hear a rumble coming out of your system, or when you're cranking the volume super high. And as I was saying earlier about the power supply, again, some of my colleagues might say that it's not worth buying a power supply that's the same price or more than this little preamp. But I'll tell you why it is in this case. In this case, you get a clear improvement to the sound quality of this preamp, and increases in sound quality are very incremental, and you really can only tell by A/Bing them. If you buy this little A5 preamp and you love it as is, well then hey, you're all set, don't worry about the power supply. You're all done. But if you get the D2 Pro, you do have a system that really does sound like something in the $200 price point. But you also have that linear power supply that you can use for other devices and possibly make them sound better as well. You can start connecting to other devices in your home and hear for yourself if a power supply would make a difference in that particular device. Now of course, this is just one guy's opinion here, and I would personally say I would recommend the H5 at $90, as long as you understand that you really aren't buying this for the phono pre, you're buying this for the line level pre with those tubes. I think the phono pre is kind of an add-on at this point, so framing it that way, I would give it a recommend. And that's about all I have for this one, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.